Welcome back, family, to another episode of Walking in Wisdom, formerly Social Walking in Wisdom. And the rationale behind the slight word change is to ensure the entire Nollywood industry know that the character analysis is available to everyone, every movie. And if you're a Nollywood aficionado like Coach Cece, that's me. You can certainly enjoy a good movie, learn and glean lessons, develop and grow. If you're a man or woman of faith, and you enjoy Nollywood movies and you know better and you desire to do better because you know better, this is the platform for you. We encourage you to certainly hit that subscribe button, fan out, put that thumbs up, leave your comments if you're interested in having me review your movie of choice, and we will get an analysis done for you as well. But today we're going to look at Biodun Stephen Television, the movie Grey Knight, which was an excellent movie. And at the end of this movie, it dissects and give you the response to does no mean no. And if you're a person that is not sure, well, we're here to tell you, indeed, no means no. Right? So let's get into it. But before we do, again, please be sure to subscribe to Social Walking in Wisdom. Today we have more than 49 movies available and even a couple of commentaries. So be sure to take a look and convey your point of view. Join us on this journey of the likes of Desert the Great and others. And if by chance you have not subscribed to Social Walking in Wisdom, her platform, Sonia Uche Television, this platform was inspired by Sonia Uche Wisdom, daughter of grace, child of grace indeed. Character matters. And despite what's going on in the world, and despite what the 98% might be doing, wickedness or evil, if you're a man or woman of faith, now that you know better, you desire to do better, you continue staying focused, walking on that narrow road because you know better indeed. So go ahead and subscribe to Sonia Uche Television if you have not already done so. And be sure to view all of her movies indeed. And why is that? Because she certainly is worth it. She has put in the work and she's giving us her time, talent, and treasures indeed. And speaking of work, when we speak of work, we have to give credits to other producers, including this beautiful young lady, Biodun Stephen Television. I've seen her movie coming from Arike as well, which was a great movie. If you have not seen Arike, if you have not subscribed to Biodun Stephen Television, please be sure to do so. Indeed, the Grey Knight is at 490K in 10 days. And this is such a great lesson learned. We have to push this family to 1 million, 2 million, 5 million, 10 million. There are lessons learned. And if this is part of your culture, wherever you are on the four corners of the earth, this is the reason you want to broach this topic with anyone. If you are indeed a CEO, and you want to broach this topic with your team and why they have to be professional, this is an excellent movie. What I've done in my role as an executive, we use what staff can relate to. And sometimes it can be in the form of movies. Sometimes it's in the form of games, right? Sometimes it's in the form of news that what you do, your actions have consequences. So be sure to use this certainly to help people to develop and grow indeed. And speaking of that, we spoke about workplace culture. For those of you who may not be familiar with workplace culture, it does exist. In my postdoctoral training, I received my degree not only in creativity and innovation globally, but also in the concept. My dissertation was on workplace culture and was all about organizational culture. And I contend that organization culture, the phenomenon of it, is likened to one's personality. So if you're a founder of a particular organization, your organization culture is like your personality. So here it says work culture is the shared beliefs, values, behaviors, and attitudes that define an organization's character. Yes, where people assemble together and work long hours, develop its own personality or its own character or its own culture. And if you have an environment as a CEO that allows workplace romance, that's fine. What people do after hours is on their own. But how they conduct themselves in a workplace is something different. And this movie speaks to it a little bit, including how they dress, how they interact together, and how they create a hostile environment for other employees. So this wonderful movie, let's give kudos to the cast indeed, led by Chinenebe playing the character of Rissy, and then she's an ambitious junior colleague, then the handsome, dapper Ray Adaka. Let's appreciate this young man's handsomeness. Very, very handsome indeed. He played the character, the older, supposedly wiser supervisor, Nosa. And then you have the two wonderful investigators. I don't know the name of the young lady who played the female investigator, but the senior of the two is played by the handsome Michael Ejo. Very, very intense investigation. And then we can't forget the CEO of this company, and that's Biodun Stephen herself. She played the role of the CEO. So ultimately, when it comes to the organization culture, all challenges and actions really fall at the feet of the CEO or manager, especially if you're a founder of that organization. And even if you're not a founder of the organization, it behooves you, if you're new to the organization, when you have these antics going on, you have to consider the policies, change it, or reinforce it, right? Some people have beautiful policies, however, they do not execute the policies. So it behooves you to do that to create a positive, healthy work environment. But again, today ultimately is about a question, does no mean no? And simply put, while we could go into the abusive position of Rhea Dacus' character being the supervisor, and there's certain level of expertise and expectations one have when you're a supervisor, when you're a manager, when you're a director, when you're the chief operating officer, when you're the managing director, when you're the founder and CEO. And as a leadership coach, I contend absolutely, to whom much is given, much is expected. So if you're getting paid accordingly, your role and your expectation of how you handle situations, if you're not clear, that's where you go to your supervisor, HR, etc. But there's a certain level of responsibility that you owe your employees. And of course, we have to consider the junior role of Chinenebe's character, my apology, Oresi, very aggressive in her approach based on what was portrayed in the movie. But clearly she's an adult because she's at least 22, but she's still 10 years plus junior to Nosa's character. So does that make a difference? Adult is an adult, but at the end of the day, your age mindset, your agency is different when you have 10 years senior over someone. But we also have to put it in perspective because there's something to be said about how the male mindset is developed versus the female. And I believe, I humbly submit to you that as females, we mature emotionally faster than our male counterparts. So that's something to be said about the junior intern character. But to ensure that this video doesn't go too long, the initial video that I uploaded was more than 45 minutes, and there was a copyright possible violation showcasing you certain movie tips. So it's important that I bring some level of um, really reducing the communication in this video. One of the things I would like to highlight in this movie as well, in addition to understanding the CEO's role, is to understand the dialogue that went on between the two investigators. And again, so that I don't get a violation, I'm just going to show you the image. Coming close to the end, both investigators had a heart-to-heart dialogue. And while the lab report came back showing that there was no crime committed, it was totally consensual because there was no blood stains, no rip, no tears, no nothing. The female investigator pushed the envelope a little bit more and informed, I would even say reminded, because the male investigator was not aware of a level of a paralysis that takes place when someone is operating in fear. And this could be fearful of an animal. I know my sister growing up, family, she was fearful of dogs. And whenever she was being chased by dogs, because there were a lot of dogs in the Caribbean, she ran like if she was the $6 million woman. That speed and agility came from nowhere. So fear can do two things. It can give you a state of paralysis where you're unable to move, as in this particular movie, as suggested by the female investigator, or you could have superhuman powers to do things that you didn't think was humanly possible. Again, watch the movie to get further detail in what I am saying to you. So as a result, what I love about this movie was the really awareness to ensure that this was investigated by both a male and female. And it was point on because if this was by two males, there's a greater probability that they will not be considering the psychological concept of a level of paralysis when hit by fear, right? Regardless of how many times she said yes in the movie, we need to know as human beings that no means no. And then you want to consider your own mother, daughter, sister, child, aunt, any family member, any besties. No means no. And when I say this, in today's world, I have to cross gender. It's not just male, female anymore. We're talking about females can be very aggressive and males are abused as well. In the Hollywood industry right here in the West, we have heard how male actors have complained about sexual harassment as well in the workplace and how they were being targeted if they were to refuse. So it can happen both ways, just for you to know. But for today's episode, we want to bring to you that in this particular narrative, the gray line, the workplace conduct can really lead to irreversible damage. And that's for anyone. And once the line is crossed, it's very hard for you to undo it. So it's very important that as an individual, when broached with a topic or conversation, and if it's giving you pause, take all the time you need, conduct some sort of decision tree or mapping as to the pros and cons, why this is beneficial, and go beyond the physiological effects that it's having. Because sometimes taking on the flesh, man or woman of faith, taking on the flesh as opposed to the spirit really puts us in a dire predicament indeed. So don't do it. Understand what you're called to be: child, son, royal priesthood, child of grace, virtuous woman. Don't put yourself in a particular position, right? And if you do understand that things happen, yes, it's never too late to say no. And anyone's hearing this need to know that no means no. Family, before I give you three reasons why no means no and how not adhering to this principle can hurt you short term and long term, I want to share with you a story. This is my real life example story where I was good friends with a physician in the West, and we had a good relationship. We traveled, saw basketball games, the whole nine yards. And at one point in time, we had a discussion of me visiting his new home. And it's important to remain prayed up family because what I want to share with you, simply put, is nothing short of the Holy Spirit. 2 weeks or a week before I visited, and just thinking I'm visiting, the Holy Spirit led him to say to me, "You cannot come because I would hurt you." Now, this is a prominent physician and from a different country, nation. So their culture was a little different, but in the West, their rules and regs. And this could have hurt his entire career. And this is what comes down to when I say you cannot undo. More than his career, it could have hurt me and my reputation as an executive, right? Because even though we hang out together, and there's proof of that, and traveled, and everything was professional and nice and sweet, and we interacted, at the end of the day, during that specific time, not sure what was going on with him then. And since then, we've had a conversation, so we still speak on and off. And this was more than 20 years ago. But this is just to carry off the information that if you're walking in faith as well, the Holy Spirit will guide you. And you have to make the right decision, because when the Holy Spirit put it in him to tell me his plans, I then had to make a decision whether I'm going to come or not. And I respectfully declined, understood what he was saying. And months later, we had a conversation about that situation. And, he apologized and he wanted to explain himself. But no, I would not choose to do that anymore, visiting someone at their place after sharing that story, because I thought we had a mutual respect, right? So no means no. And I'm sharing this with you just to let you know that the best of coaches, counselors, doctors, physicians, whatever you have, nurses, right? Business individuals, sometimes if we don't stop and follow what the Spirit is telling us, the Holy Spirit, and not guided in terms of ordering your steps, stop, go, no. We need to take the time to listen. Some people call it decision making. I call it simply allowing your steps to be ordered by the Lord Himself. So indeed, no means no. So let's get into the three reasons why. The number one, in doing so, in understanding that every action has a reaction and there are circumstances, consequences, and repercussions for your actions if it's negative in a society that's not acceptable. Loss of reputation, which is very hard to regain and earn. So be very mindful of that. And unfortunately, in the 21st century, it's still the burden on the woman. So women, don't think all feminine, I'm walking, liberate. No, it's still very much a man's world, my sisters. So be mindful, right? Equal doesn't necessarily mean equity. And it's very important that, again, regardless of what the feminist movement tells you, you cannot undo something that was done based on poor judgment. So be mindful. Number two, corrupted workplace. The health of the entire team is poisoned by rumors, bring about a very toxic, negative workplace environment. And for the CEO and on a business level, purely monetary, your team can easily lose focus, engage in gossip, become less creative and less positive. So it doesn't work and it becomes a hostile environment. What if they decided to then bully the male, female, or both of them? So it comes to a point that one person may have to leave the organization. And I would say both people, what I've seen, ultimately both people leave the organization. And then the third part is irreversible personal cost as well in terms of making that decision. You cannot, if worst case scenario, if you got an STD, you cannot un-STD it. If you become pregnant, you have two options, right? Abort or not, or have the child and have a memory of that, something that you weren't prepared for if you were not prepared for it. And thirdly, in terms of that shame, if you're looking at coming from a good home and family, right? Now, every child is to be loved, they're not responsible, but every action has a consequence. So be mindful of that. And as a faith-based person, we're not here to promote any level of annihilating anyone, regardless of the stage that they're in or their age as well. So that on your faith walk becomes horrific just thinking about that process, and it can leave you very guilty. So in terms of no means no, it does. No means no. And for you to live a better, happier life, making sound decisions before acting upon it is the key recommendation. And you would see in this movie that he did do so. So, family, that's it for another episode of Social Walk in Wisdom. Thank you so much for listening to this character analysis. Please share and fan out. If you would like us to submit your very own, please be sure to share with us. Leave it in the comment section. Share your thoughts on when a no doesn't mean no, if you do believe so. And also share your own experiences, like I've shared with you, and become very vulnerable. Again, thank you so much for listening. And as always, shalom.